We are a couple of days out from the NHL Trade Deadline, and now is the fun time where you get to dissect every little move that happened. And that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to be talking to you about our top three losers of the NHL Trade Deadline. Without further ado, why don't we jump right into this with our first team? And yeah, let's just do this thing.
For our first loser of the deadline, we have the Vancouver Canucks. Now, when comparing the ins and outs, I would say it's a little bit one-sided towards the outs. And for a team that's kind of looking to, find its identity and trying to push for the playoffs, having, more guys going out than ins is kind of a little bit concerning, especially when the value is not even. For example, JT Miller coming out was a big one for the Canucks that I guess they felt they had to make, either dealing one of Pettersson or JT Miller in that whole saga. But ever since, Pettersson hasn't really been himself, so you wonder, was it really JT Miller or was there something else going on behind the scenes? Now, obviously, addressing the elephant in the room, there was one guy who didn't get dealt, and that was Brock Besser. And Patrick Alvin said after the deadline, he said that if I told you what they were getting back in return for Brock Besser, you would be running out of the room. So that's a little bit of a weird comment. That says a lot about Brock Besser's value, and also just the offers they were getting were just not there. And for a team that, they're trying to push for the playoffs here, but they're kind of just living in no man's land, which means that they're not selling enough to actually be a seller, but they're not actually buying enough to actually be a contender and try to push for the playoffs. So it's kind of, raises the question, what is their identity? What do they want to be? And that's something that I guess Vancouver didn't really address this trade deadline, which is why we have them as our first loser.
Alrighty, guys, I need you to bear with me because I'm going to go on a little rant here. Our second loser is the Nashville Predators. Now, immediately when you look at the Nashville Predators thing, you're going to see a guy pictured, and his name is Alexander Carrier. Alexander Carrier has been a vital part of the Montreal Canadiens playoff push so far this year, and when he came in, things turned around for the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens have been red hot since Alexander Carrier came in, and now all of a sudden they're only 3 points out of the playoffs after, in fact, being in the playoffs for a little bit and having a little bit of Lucy's kid. Montreal gave up Justin Barron for Alexander Carrier, and this should tell you a lot, because in a seller's market, if Barry Trotz was able to get Justin Barron in exchange for a top four bona fide defenseman, when Luke Schenn went for a second and a fourth, and Anthony Beauvillier went for a second, that should tell you a little something. Why don't we dive up a little bit into this page here? You can see that Gustav Nyquist was actually traded for a second-round pick. A second-round pick for Gustav Nyquist is insane, in my opinion. I think you get a lot more for Gustav Nyquist. A guy that had, I think, 75 points last year, and you got traded for a second-round pick. Great job, Barry Trotz. And if it gets a little worse, Tommy Novak and Luke Schenn were traded for Michael Bunting, I know he's dealing with something right now, I think, but Michael Bunting is definitely not going to help out Nashville when they need to rebuild or something like that. That trade was ridiculously weird. Pittsburgh does win this trade because they're able to turn Luke Schenn into a second and a fourth. And that second and a fourth will look damn good on Nashville right now because Nashville need picks. They should have blown this thing up. Everybody should have been gone. In my opinion, they should have been even taking calls on the guys like Roman Josi and Philip Forsberg because they screwed up last offseason when we thought they were geniuses. We thought they were geniuses and they screwed up. They signed guys that haven't helped this team. This team is cursed. I don't know what's wrong with this team as of now. They did nothing to prove the fact that they're sellers. And right now, they pretty much have the same team minus a few depth pieces. Tommy Novak, Gustav Nyquist, Parsonen, and Carrier. So I don't know what Nashville's motive was going to this deadline. They do not have an identity. That is something you always want to see at a trade deadline is what do teams do as an identity? What do teams have as an identity? Nashville has nothing right now. Their team sucks, and they're going to suck for a while if they don't fix it. So Barry Trotz, fix it.
For our last team of the video, we got the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, this is kind of one of not really a management fault in the sense like it wasn't a bad, series of trades, but it's more of just like some unfortunate circumstances. And a big part of this is surrounded by Mikko Rantanen. When the Carolina Hurricanes made that massive deal for Mikko Rantanen that sent Marty Necas to the Colorado Avalanche, a lot of people, including myself, thought that the Carolina Hurricanes had just become Stanley Cup contenders and Stanley Cup favorites, I might add. But Rantanen came in, his first, 10 or so games of the season, not performing great, under a half a point per game pace, something like that with 2 goals. It wasn't ideal, and he made clear to the Carolina Hurricanes organization that he did not see a long-term future there. He did not get did not accept the long-term extension, didn't agree on anything like that, and they were offering him some big numbers, especially I think there was a 9-digit number at the Four Nations Faceoff, which obviously I think that's more than 13 million a season. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money, and he turned that down. Now, whether that was because of the city, the management, the fan, well, I don't know, probably not the fans, but some circumstance that we don't know, Mikko Rantanen did not see a future in Carolina. So heading into this NHL trade deadline, the Carolina Hurricanes looked to deal him off, and they sent him to the Dallas Stars. And obviously, they didn't get back exactly what they got. They got Logan Stankoven and a few picks pretty much, but both first-round picks were top 10 protected. But in the end, it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation, as they did lose Marty Necas and they did lose Mikko Rantanen. Logan Stankoven, don't get me wrong, he's going to be a great player, but it's just an unfortunate deal where obviously they couldn't get the exact value they wanted back for Mikko Rantanen in that Stankoven trade, but one that they had to do, so they didn't lose him for nothing. I will also add that the picks that they did get in the Stankoven deal, they were thinking of flipping, but they couldn't because the Rantanen deal took so long, which again is another unfortunate thing. You know, they could have flicked those picks and got another guy to help them push for the playoffs, but now they're kind of in an awkward situation.
So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Once again, Nashville fans, I apologize for that little rant. That was me going on a little bit of a heater, criticizing your GM and your team overall. But I love your fans. I've been to Nashville multiple times, and I love the city. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching this video. We appreciate all the support. We got a lot of sick content coming up for you guys, a lot of analysis, a lot of cool things that we've never really done before, and we appreciate all the support. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new for the best hockey content on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.